Don't you want the story twice? Look no fear, the studio say remake sound.
I've hit record. Testing. I'm going to turn up the gain so that Dan makes sure that our audio is the same this time. Dan,
you're doing great.
Dan, you're doing so great. I'm really proud.
I
of
was
you.
a little loud last time. It's true. And a new intro music this time. Ooh.
Whoa, spooky.
Spooky. It's spooky. Season 2 for
I
a horror.
hope you're scared, but not too scared because you're going to have to listen to like 21 more episodes of this.
So we're going to be doing
Mariana
horror for like a year.
would not let me cut the list down any more than we already did.
Whatever.
Spooky.
You'll thank me later.
Hello and welcome to Once More with Feeling Season 2, which I forgot to brainstorm the name of, so I'm going to come up with it right now. Once More with Spooky. That's terrible.
That is terrible.
Do
we'll
we have a
it.
name for Season 2?
No.
We're going to have a new name every episode. That's Season 1's. That's Episode 1's seasonal name.
Once More Upon a Time was just so inspired.
It was
I
great.
don't know if we're going to top
We
it.
never said it after the first episode, but it was great that we had that. Once more.
You can get a little overwrought with this kind of thing.
Shivering, alone, covered in blood. The screams of my dying friends echoing from the rest of the haunted mansion. That's it. We found it. A podcast about great original movies and their often not so great remakes. I'm Gus Schiff. I'm a screenwriter, improviser, nonprofit worker.
Yeah, how's that going?
Loving boyfriend. It's going fine. You know, nothing to complain about.
I'm Mariana. I'm a YouTube film critic and media scholar. And a horror scholar, mostly. So aren't we excited for this season? I am. Gus is not.
Gus is
not.
afraid. Gus
is
watched
afraid.
Obsession a couple weeks ago to try to
so
get in
proud
the
of you.
horror mood, and it scared the shit out of me. I still think about it.
What do you think about?
It haunts my dreams. The part when he gets up in the morning and the entire door is like taped shut, and then he comes back afterwards when she just stands there and like pisses herself and poops herself, when he's in the car with like a girl that is actually like a good match for him, and then Nikki runs up and smashes her head into the steering wheel, and then like 10 minutes later like her naked corpse is tied up in the room. Like,
Yeah. It
So
doesn't get
much-
better. That's
so
the thing.
much of it.
I gotta sit down and make like a big video about that movie someday, just because the way that it portrays unhealthy relationships and codependency in that way, where it's like you can see him convince himself that he's gonna fix it, you know, and it's gonna get better, and instead it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, like exponentially. Every new thing that happens is twice as bad as that thing that happened before, and it's like, yeah, the delusion of being in a situation like that and thinking you're somehow going to turn it around is like, yeah, I've never seen it done better in anything else. Maybe Midsummer.
I was
I
a
don't know.
fan, but in a very like regretful way. Like I wish I never saw it, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
You know, like when your like relative dies and you're in the room and you're like, that's gonna haunt me forever, but at least I was there. Sort of like that, but for movies.
Yeah, you and I have opposite approaches to this kind of thing. You avoid it, and I have to watch it 10 times. So
You have to
that
watch
I
it 10 times?
I have to watch it 10
To,
times.
like, dull your
I have to watch
senses
it over and over
to
again.
it?
To dull my senses, like figure out what I'm watching. It's like I'm just as much of a coward as you are. I just I've desensitized myself.
I don't know if that's true. But it's okay, because today we watched The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is not scary.
It's not that scary.
It's not a scary movie. It is like one of the first horror movies. The first horror movie.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The first ever horror movie.
It is arguably the first ever horror movie.
It is arguably the first ever horror movie.
It's almost certainly the first ever coherent horror movie. Like, it feels very modern, which I think is super interesting about it. It's a cool movie.
It's very cool.
It's extremely cool, extremely important. It was, I think, one of the movies that I talked about in the elevated horror video I made several months ago. We've been in this like conversation about like, since the 2010s, horror is good now, as if like the entirety of film history, as if the thing
Alien
doesn't exist. Rosemary's Baby, Alien, and one of the first important movies ever was The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Immediately when it came out, people were like, oh shit, this is important. They're doing something special here. Is that elevated? No, it's stupid. We're switching it up this season. I'm doing the historical context for the original movies, and Gus is doing
the modern context for the modern-ish movies, because guess what? A lot of our remakes are from, like, the 70s this time. Which is really cool.
It is cool. It's going to be hopefully more varied than last season.
Hopefully, like,
should be interesting things to say.
I'm praying to the podcast gods that we get a roughly 50-50 split of like originals are better and remakes are better. Yeah.
And I think it'll be fun too, because the remakes that are bad are going to fucking suck, and the remakes that are good are going to be really good and really interesting in how good they are.
And so many of them are Cronenberg.
So many.
But this one isn't. But we'll talk about it in a while. Take us into The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari from, I had 1920. I keep saying 1919. Give us a definitive answer.
It's 1920.
Okay.
Comes out in 1920. Yeah.
Take us into the world of 2 years after World War One.
Okay, Gus. Do you want me to do the synopsis first?
That's the flashback noise.
Dan, add a flashback noise.
I did the year first and then the synopsis, but it's your segment. Do your own thing.
This feels high stakes for some reason.
I'm
gonna do this
because I did it really well. So now there's a direct comparison.
I'm gonna do the synopsis first, because I don't think I'll do this for every single movie that we cover, but for this one's special. Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is a special movie, and it came out in a special time, and so much of the story of this movie has sort of like, I don't know, bled together with the history of, Weimar Germany and the immediate aftermath of World War One that I think they make sense to talk about together. So I'll do the synopsis first. So the movie opens on a guy named Francis sitting with some unnamed older guy on a bench who tells him that dark spirits have driven him away from his home and family. That's a pretty weird thing to say, but instead of responding, Francis gets distracted by a pretty lady who walks by, and he tells the older guy that that's his fiancée, and has he got a story for him? He'll never believe what happened to him and his fiancée. So then we cut to a town called Hostenval. Almost the rest of the movie is in a flashback. And Francis and his friend Alan, who are both in love with Jane, who's the girl from the first scene, plan to go to the town fair. Meanwhile, a mysterious weird guy who looks like the Penguin goes to the town clerk. He does.
I don't know if this was just me, but like almost every character I saw looked like Willem Dafoe in some different kind of makeup. So I don't know if Willem just looks extremely German, or if he just has like an old movie face. But
I think it's a little bit of both.
Listener, if you have not seen this movie, imagine Willem Dafoe
every single role.
In every role with like at a different age.
I think what it is that Willem Dafoe just has very pronounced features, you know? And the makeup for silent movies so emphasizes eyes and mouth and, you know, cheekbones and whatever. I think that's what it is.
Okay. I would believe that. But listener, I forget all of the characters' names. For Mr. Penguin, for the old guy, that's current Willem Dafoe. For the main character, whose name Pete, what is it?
Francis.
Just imagine like younger Willem Dafoe, like 1980s Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
For
Cesare, imagine
for Cesare,
skinny Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, imagine like Green Goblin Willem Dafoe, but like in the mirror in the second movie.
The mysterious weird guy who looks like the Penguin goes to the town clerk to get a permit to display his spectacle at the fair, which is a phrase I love. I wish people would talk like that more.
Yeah.
The clerk is rude to him, and the next day he turns up murdered. He's been stabbed, oh no. The next day, Francis and Alan go to the fair and visit a sideshow advertising a somnambulist named Cesare. Dr. Caligari has this guy who is asleep all the time, except when he wakes up to tell the future. This is what a somnambulist is.
A somnambulist is a sleepwalker.
Somnambulism is sleepwalking. Yeah. This is the only time I have ever seen this device used in a movie in the way it's used here. Like,
what device?
A somnambulist. They treat it like an archetype, and it absolutely isn't. You know?
I wonder, and if I was doing the history, I would have looked into this, but I wonder if somnambulists and that kind of like prophetizing was somewhat common at like traveling fairs in Germany.
Well, I did do the research for this, and what I discovered is that one of the writers, part of what this is based off of is that he had gone to like a sideshow and seen this guy whose shtick was that his like stage partner would hypnotize him and he'd like lift heavy things. Mm-hmm. That was his thing. So I mean, I think that the idea of hypnotism and you know, fancy weird mind games was becoming more popular now. I think it's like kind of the precursor to what would eventually become building missiles in your garage, you know.
Building missiles in your garage?
Yeah, like in Flubber.
Oh. Sure. Okay, of course. No, that's not Flubber. That's Shaggy Dog.
That is Shaggy Dog. You're right. You're so right. Yeah.
Yeah. In Flubber, he just has like nuclear materials in his garage.
Yeah. Okay, so somnambulist, Cesare. Dr. Caligari has this guy in a coffin, and he wakes him up. He's asleep all the time.
It's a cabinet.
Except when...
It's a cabinet. This is the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Is the thing that the somnambulist is sleeping in. Yes.
The title of the movie. So Alan decides to ask Cesare. He just like goes straight to the chase.
Yeah.
And asks him how long he's going to live. Yeah, the friend. Yeah. And Cesare tells him, until dawn tomorrow. Ooh.
Yeah, spooky.
And then the next day, Alan is stabbed to death. So Francis decides to investigate his murder, and the police are distracted. We get a little red herring when a guy tries to murder an old lady and is caught. And this is offered as explanation for why the police are not with Francis as he goes to Dr. Caligari's house and like sneaks up on him to see what he's up to. Meanwhile, Cesare sneaks into Jane's bedroom for unexplained reasons. I don't think that is ever explained.
For
kidnaps
horny
her.
Reasons, right?
You think? I mean, that's...
Caligari does.
No, Cesare does. Well, through Caligari, I guess.
Right.
It's unclear. But this is very much like this sort of like monster creeping up in the on a sleeping lady in a bedroom is such a visual trope.
I think it's just
this era.
Yeah, I think it's just that kind of classic like. Mm-hmm. Why did Voldemort go for the young women? That's not the right name. Dracula. Why did Dracula like go for the young ladies? It's like that's the most sympathetic victim at the time.
Yeah, and we're dealing with
nothing's changed.
Yeah, and we're dealing with especially in early silent film, dealing with like very broad archetypes, generally, and sort of moralistic undertones, which again is part of why this whole somnambulist device is so strange to me. It's such a weird idea. So Cesare sneaks into Jane's bedroom and kidnaps her. He's chased by a mob and just drops the fuck dead. He just dies while Caligari escapes. He's just like, I don't know if it's like, it's just such a strange vibe. It's like he can't, I don't know, it's like as soon as the connection between him and Caligari is like disturbed or revealed in any way, he just like can't stand it and just dies of stress. It's so strange. Yeah. So Francis sees Caligari run into an insane asylum, and upon investigation discovers he's the director of the insane asylum. Gasp! Oh my God. So Francis and the police search his office and find a report he seems to have become obsessed with about a guy in the 18th century called Caligari who used a somnambulist named Cesare to commit a bunch of murders in Italy. Is another like great early 20th century, kind of late 19th century trope where like everybody convenes at the very end to read a report, you know? And so when a somnambulist gets admitted to his hospital, he decides he's going to recreate that. Upon being revealed, Caligari goes crazy and is admitted to his own hospital. But now we come back to the framing story where it's revealed that Francis is actually an inmate in the asylum. And his story is just populated by characters based off his fellow inmates. Woo. And then the director comes out and Francis attacks him, calls him Caligari. It's the same actor who plays Caligari, and he's put in a straitjacket while the director, who seems perfectly normal and sane, talks about how he now understands how to cure Francis of his delusions. And that's the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yeah. I liked it.
It's super cool. It's such a vibe.
It's really cool. What is not evident in the audio description, which is really the draw to it, is how fucking weird it looks all the time.
And it like well, so this is German Expressionism. This is like the German Expressionist movie, this and Nosferatu. But unlike Nosferatu, and unlike the sort of German Expressionist influences and mimicry that'll come later, this is kind of this is using it to interesting effect. It like when it starts, it's not really German Expressionism. The kind of, you know, the shadows and whatever are still there, but it's not until we get to the flashback that everything goes all weird, it goes all freaky. If you're not like, you don't have like Google on hand, chances are you're listening to this in a car. Don't take out your phone. Imagine.
Pull over and then take out your phone.
Just imagine Tim Burton. Tim Burton is a German Expressionist. His entire style is just cribbed from these movies. So if you can just imagine,
do you remember
Corpse Bride or whatever? Yeah.
Do you remember? Because I do not remember when they're back in the insane asylum and it's all like, it's been in your head. Are they back to more normal sets? Because I don't remember. They are.
They are.
So it's a really cool usage of a very strange art form and a recognition of how strange the art form is to represent, in retrospect, that this guy's brain is all fucked up.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about World War I and the production of this movie.
Tell me about World War One.
Well,
because as a man living in the 21st century, I've never heard of this thing.
I will not tell you about World War I. I'll tell you about the immediate aftermath. I don't know anything about World War I. It lasted from 1914 to 1918, and it really sucked for everybody in Europe. That's what I know. You're probably more of a position to tell me about World War One. In fact, if you have any place to jump in here.
It lasted from 1914 to 1918, and it really sucked for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Gus has mansplained.
I think just the big thing about World War One is it's the first time that these powers, Great Britain, France, Russia, what was then the very new German kingdom, Austria, Italy, etc., is the first time they fought a mechanized war. It was the first time that like industrial output was fast enough and big enough that they could field like that amount of artillery and that amount of guns.
And it was an absolute disaster. The
and
amount
they were like,
of destruction.
Holy fuck. Because the big thing is that at the start of the war, like the last major continental war was the Napoleonic stuff, which was still like, you know, you had light infantry, so you had rifles, but it was still mostly like regiments marching around and cannons. Like Napoleon's big thing that helped him win the war was how fast his artillery was at moving. You had other fights. There were the Italian and German wars of unification. There was the Franco-Prussian War. I'm sure Russia was doing some shit. And then there were probably some other wars. I don't remember them, and they weren't as big as the Napoleonic conflict to my knowledge. So this was the first bit of the war. Like before World War I, you still had aristocrats buying military commission. You still had pretty decorative uniforms. You had people basically like going into this war as though it were another sort of classic
it's
18th century, 19th
it's kind of a function of
century
pageantry. There's a lot of pageantry
Yeah.
involved in war, and World War One just kind of stops that.
Yeah, and they ran
Starts looking in very
headfirst
bad
into
taste.
like mass-produced arms and armor, and it was a
and
bloodbath.
subsequently, mass-produced slaughter of human beings, millions and
It
millions of
was
people.
really bad. And then one of the little fun facts, which might be a lie, but I think it's fun, so I'm going to repeat it, is that World War One, predominantly they were still using bolt action rifles, which had a relatively low rate of fire of about 60, 70 a minute. I think they had capacity for higher rate of fire guns, but they could not produce ammunition fast enough for how many guns were in use. So that is why most forces maintained such slow firing weapons. I think that's a fun fact.
That's so fun, Gus.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a very fun thing.
So, really, what's most important for our purposes is what happens after the war, and namely the Paris Peace Conference, which establishes all the penalties for Germany and their allies for instigating or at least exacerbating this horrible, horrible war that was, of course, supposed to be the last war. The Great War is going to end all warfare forever. And as we all know,
it did.
no wars ever happened again. Certainly not in
Yay.
Germany. And this event is, of course, considered a huge humiliation to Germany. It's not good in Germany for several years. The Weimar Republic does not begin well. From the beginning, there's a bunch of separatists and revolutionary groups vying for power, including Hitler. He's there from the start.
Boo.
We're not Hitler fans on this podcast.
Dan, layer over more booing noises.
We're real
layer
iconoclasts.
Layer in the audio from Game 3 of the Knicks Spurs game.
For a podcast to be anti-Hitler, I mean, we're on the cutting edge.
I know,
Truly.
except non-ironically.
I know. So, like, a bunch of people starve in these first few years in Germany. It's a completely broken economy. Famously, there was like crazy hyperinflation. There were a bunch of all those, photos of people using like million-mark notes as scratch pads and shoveling them into fireplaces for fuel. After a few years,
the wheelbarrow of cash to buy a loaf of bread.
Mm-hmm. After a few years, things stabilize. It's not clear to me quite how. I think partly just because at this
Free
point,
market forces, baby.
I'm sort of, I mean, kind of at this point, the entire world is sort of dependent on the U.S. economy, and the U.S. is having a roaring 20s, so everybody gets to have a roaring 20s. Kind of as a side effect, there's a lot of cultural exchange between all of these countries who are all going through their own huge social and artistic upheavals. Celluloid film had been invented in the 1880s, immediately becomes sold as an entertainment and journalistic medium. From the beginning, these two things are kind of married to each other, and it's just a constant kind of task of managing those tensions as we develop propaganda between film and radio. Woohoo! The rate of cultural exchange just absolutely explodes at a rate I don't think that we really appreciate, and that we wouldn't see again until about 100 years later with the rise of the internet.
Woo!
Within the film industry, there's a lot of competition between countries, a lot of protectionist film policies. It's really unclear whether, in the early days of film, whether the US or Europe is going to kind of reign supreme in the film market. Both regions are doing a lot of really, really important innovations in film, in both technology and storytelling. And so as part of that, there's so many protectionist film policies. Everybody has like some kind of national film office or whatever. You're not allowed to import, movies from France if you're in Germany, movies from the US if you're in France, and vice versa. But as we all know, a great way to get people to do stuff is to tell them not to. So really the biggest effect of that kind of thing is that everybody was making really, really culturally specific movies all the time, and they were all getting exported and imported despite the best efforts of all these politicians. So jazz goes to Berlin, and nightclubs, and modernism, and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is very much a product of the transition between these these two time periods of economic wasteland and huge economic boom. And the Germans' great contribution to film art of the time is German Expressionism. The Soviets are at the same time doing just like these crazy innovations in editing that we still use today. Americans are making all this incredible film technology, and the German focus is very much in aesthetic. German Expressionism is very, very influenced by these, sort of modernist visual art trends at the time in the Weimar art scene. It really, really wants you to focus on the setting and performances as their own agents in the movie beyond just plot devices.
Hearing all this like development of early film is like warming my little multicultural heart.
I know. It's
I'm
good
like, yes,
to have lots of
Soviets.
cultures in an area.
Yes, Germany. Yes, France. Yes, America.
These are good things. And, by that same token, like as a product of the Weimar art scene, like German Expressionism is heavily influenced by countercultures. This is cabaret era. The like Berlin in the 1920s and 1930s was insane. Like so many interesting people making interesting things. Very much parallels the way that like American artistic golden ages tend to function. There's a lot of queer people. There's a lot of immigrants. There's a lot of laborers. There's a lot of people on the margins of society. And those people are generally the kinds that kick off artistic movements. Those are the creative ones, And because of that marginalization, horror is part of the reason I love it so much is it's often the genre that becomes the primary outlet for those kinds of artistic experiments because it's kind of a outcast dirtbag sort of genre that's adopted by outcast dirtbag sort of people, And because of this, when the Nazis rise to power a couple decades later, German Expressionism... Boo! The Nazis!
Next game, boo!
So when Hitler rises, German Expressionism joins the rest of all great German modernism as degenerate art made by social deviants, which is... absolutely true. This stuff was made by social deviants. That's how culture progresses.
Yay.
Like, social deviants make good art. They're good. We need to protect
Dan,
the weirdos.
Can you overlay cheering from
Yay,
Game 5 of
deviants.
the
Woo! But of course, as many good things as are happening in Weimar Berlin, a lot of bad things are happening too. Nation states are consolidating power. History never stops, The road to World War II has already begun. Most European countries, as well as the US and Canada, are embarking on a lot of really heinous psychological and economic experiments. This is the beginning of social engineering, which is,
there's always a period, and, this is just to go into that, like, historically, there's always a period of, like, some technological development comes along, and that initial sort of smash of centralization is almost always driven by, like, centralization period is driven by like that desire to like control, like, oh, if only everyone did exactly what I say, society would be better. Really, it's interesting to look at this period when this movie was made because a very similar thing is happening right now with the sort of like proliferation of the internet. And now it's like, you remember when the internet was for like weirdos before like 2014 and it was like, I don't want to say good because like gore was all over the place and people would like try to trick you into looking at child porn because it was hilarious. It's not hilarious. Don't do that. That's illegal. But like in general, it was like kooky and fun and weird and all that. And now it's awful.
Yeah, it is awful. But it's like
colonized.
It's super fascinating to see how the internet is really kind of to the letter following the exact trajectory that film was on in the 1920s. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
It's the same thing, period. Like when Rome got their engineering down and they started building roads all over the place, there was the centralization push.
Yeah, but I think what's interesting
got fast enough.
Oh, totally. But and like push. there's an extent to which you can say that things like city planning and boats are media as well. And
I will.
But they're not communication media in the same way that these things are, that film and radio and text or the internet
I think
are, you know?
I think they're similar to like the tubes that the internet go on.
Yeah, but then
know
we're
what I
talking
mean?
about
Like, you can-
infrastructure, and then we like get into the whole conversation of it's a it's a
You're
super
like, I'm
frustrating.
a PhD. I've talked about this enough already.
It's a super frustrating thing that that social media companies do right now, where they'll like play coy about whether they're a media company or a technology company. Like
Right.
if you
Nothing's a technology company. There are no technology companies. That's not real.
if you accuse them. Yeah.
A tech company is a company that provides any service that is like non-tangible, I guess.
Kinda.
But
I
even
mean,
still, it's a service company.
But yeah,
Like-
exactly. It is a service company. If you're making a technology doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It's supposed to have a purpose, and whatever that purpose is the kind of company you are. You know,
Yeah.
when social media companies are accused of being media companies and asked to take responsibility for the things that are on their platforms, they say,
Yeah.
but we're just a technology company. You wouldn't ask us to, you know, be responsible for what people say on the phone, would you? And then when you say, okay, well, if you're a technology company, then give us your algorithms and let us, you know, let's regulate all your technology then, the way we regulate telephones. Then they say, but we're just a media company, though. You can't like expect us to be responsible for our infrastructure. We're just like we're part of the democratization of information.
My ex-girlfriend, my college ex, who at the time really wanted to like join the, you know, get a law degree and join the government and like work for good and public policy and all of that. She got her first job at like one of those giant New York law firms and was like, oh, never mind. Like corporate defense, Twitter's on-call lawyers. Yes, please. So
Yeah.
just want to point that out in case she ever listens to this. You used to be a good person. She's fine.
Anyway, the point of all this, I think, is that actually not unlike boats and not a little less like city planning just because of logistics or whatever. But like, it's one of the things that I've been sort of discovering in my dissertation research and, you know, kind of applying to the patterns that I'm finding that media, all kinds of media, are a really, really good way to see this in action, that human beings are really, really good at finding the margins and making little communities in there, you know. Human beings are so good, and something that tech oligarchs will never understand. Really, just like, you know, would-be rulers of any kind will never understand how deep the impulse to take something and use it wrongly goes in the human animal, you know.
Yeah. So it goes in the mouth? What if? What if it didn't?
You know, that's what happens with film, and that's what happened with the internet. It's still what happens on social media. It's just less dramatic, and people aren't ready to see it, I think. What? You're making a face
What
at
does
me.
that mean? I don't know what that means. Felt like you were referencing a specific like event, and I have no idea what you're referencing.
People, pundits, really, anybody who, you know, this sort of like commentary class speaks about social media as if they know what's going on.
Oh,
on
nobody
it,
knows what's
you know.
going on.
Nobody knows what's going on, and the way that people are using social media and you know, kind of mobilizing themselves and others with it, for better or worse, does not work the way that those people imagine it does. And that's what I don't think people are really ready to talk about yet. You know?
Do you have a light you can turn on? You're so like fuzzy.
I know it's getting super dark in here.
It's really triggering my like Videodrome trauma. Sorry, I'm
Videodrome
perfectly
trauma. Ridiculous. Yay!
Yay! You look like a person.
Where were we? Yeah, social engineering, a lot of bad things, consolidation of power, lead up to World War II. It starts now. And I think that's largely what accounts for the psychological horror involved in this movie that feels so modern to me, and that I think is like remarkable in its kind of abstraction and subtlety. Like the monster in this movie is just a guy, you know, but like he's this guy who's sort of lost in this seedy underground and under the control of this educated, high-class gentleman weirdo who looks like Arthur Schopenhauer and tells him what to do. And this, so in, criticism and theory surrounding this movie, that is of a lot of concern, where it's like, I mean, we'll get to it in a minute, but people read a lot into the class and the positionality of Cesare and Dr. Caligari in the wake of this horrible war, where, all of these rich fucks sent all these poor young guys to die for nothing.
Yeah.
Everybody's everybody's traumatized.
That's not
by
true.
this
Not
war.
for nothing, because Italy got Trieste.
Okay.
So, small gains. Ask all the German-speaking Italians if it was worth it.
It's all for the nation. This is a very early narrative film also. It's not the first narrative feature, but it's kind of close to it.
What were movies before they had narrative?
It was just a lot of spectacle, It was a lot of vignettes. It was a lot of like, look at this lady dancing. Isn't that crazy? She's on camera. You can see her move and everything. There was that train. Great Train Robbery, I think, actually may be the first narrative film, but even that, it's like 20 minutes long, I think.
According to Wikipedia, the first narrative film is, I'm not even going to give the French, The Waterer Watered, which is from 1895, from Louis Lumiere.
Lumiere did Trip to the Moon and all that
It's
kind of
40
stuff.
seconds long.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
on Wikipedia.
It's a lot of short stuff.
Is that a narrative?
Like
It's literally a prank video.
okay, yeah.
It's literally a prank video. Mm-hmm. And it's as poorly acted as modern prank videos.
I was gonna say, it's like there are a lot of movies from this era that are narrative in the sense that like you're introduced to a character and then you're introduced to another character who's a lady, and the first guy sees her ankles and is like blown away by it, and that's the end of the movie. That's a narrative, technically. This is hard to parse.
I'm sorry, I'm shocked that it was like watching a shitty YouTuber from 130 years ago.
I'm telling you, we're doing the exact same thing. Precisely. It's crazy to see. This is, of course, a German Expressionist movie. And interestingly, here's a fun fact. That was a financial choice more than an aesthetic one. The reason the producer, a guy named Rudolf Meinert, signs off on this is because he wanted the style of this movie to be so outlandish that it would hopefully capture the audience of the expressionist visual art trend that was so popular at the time. And even if it was a bad movie and no one liked it, it would just be like so visually striking that it would make its money back. This was
Good choice.
Yeah, it was a good choice.
Good choice.
It is. It just happens to work really, really well for this movie. Like the entire environment is just so like malicious and spiky, and it looks like it wants to hurt you. It's great.
Yeah.
It's written by Hans Janowitz and Karl Mayer. Both of them are pacifists. Both are very traumatized by the war, as all Germans are to some extent or another. They both hated the idea of the frame story. That was a late addition, and they thought it ruined the whole thing. They tried to sue to stop it, but fail.
Was it reshoots?
It
when
wasn't-
they added the frame story?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably somebody knows, but it was definitely a late addition.
Does somebody know, or are they all dead?
I'm sure somebody knows.
This movie is 106 years old.
That's part of the issue here when you're trying to like find any information on movies like this. It's like the
How many people in the world are older than 106? There are... The estimate of people worldwide who are over the age of 100 is 316,000.
That's so few.
So there are, how many of those die within 5 years?
So many. I have a friend.
There are less, I'm going to guess there are less than 50,000 people currently alive who were alive when this movie came out.
I think that's a reasonable guess. I have a friend who I went to grad school with whose great-great-grandmother was for a brief time the oldest person in the world. She was like
What happened?
114 or something. What do you mean what happened? She died. There's a lot of turnover for that title, if you can imagine.
You know, I was once the youngest person ever. Very briefly.
I don't know who made that. Probably the producers, but probably what's his face, who probably Minor made that decision to change it. Who knows? The sets are designed and painted by Walter Ryman and Walter Rohrig, two Walters, who are both in the Berlin Expressionist art scene. And it's directed by Robert Viney, this must be pronounced as, who's fairly obscure. He didn't live very long after this movie was made. He directs and writes a lot of early silent films in the way a lot of these directors do. Film worked way differently back then.
I think it's Robert Vina.
Okay. Film worked way differently back then, and people would just churn out so many movies because they're pretty cheap to make and pretty short.
Isn't there a scene, I think it's in like Singing in the Rain, when they're in a soundstage, and when it was silent films, it would literally be like the sets would be built right next to each other.
Yeah, they'd film like 7 at once.
A bunch of productions just going.
Yeah, it's crazy how just the absence of sound changes, and color changes the nature of the production process.
Yeah.
So
especially sound.
Oh yeah. So this guy directed 5 movies and wrote 2 others in 1920 alone. But this is by far his most famous. Yeah, a lot of the production of this movie is in dispute. A lot of information has either been lost or has decayed. Different people argue over, people lie, you know. Oh, that was my idea. And how'd you say this guy's name is pronounced?
I think it's Vina.
Okay, yeah. So Vina dies pretty soon after this movie, so he's not there to set the record straight on a lot of this information.
Wait, Robert Vina?
Yeah.
The director?
Yeah, he dies like 10 years later.
18 years later. 18 years
18?
later.
Jesus.
Yeah, 1938.
Jesus.
Do you need me to double check your research? I have a
shut
full-time
up.
job.
Oh my God. But all my sources, I don't know, maybe it's just because everybody was like constantly smoking and drinking back then. Nobody expected to live past like 55, and so every source I read was like, Vina taken too soon.
It says on Wikipedia that he worked on 890 films.
That's so nuts.
And that only 20 of them survived.
That's another thing. There's so much lost media from this era. Everything's on nitrate film, which just like if
you've seen the end of Inglourious Bastards, you know what nitrate film does.
It just like
it burns.
It burns so fast that it has almost exploded. You know, it's incredible how fast it burns. So
have you seen Flash Paper?
Yes, exactly.
Basically nitrate film. Yeah, it's like kind of a miracle that we have Nosferatu still. We'll talk about that next time. But Nosferatu for a long time was considered a lost film because all of its copies burned. This is why I think we don't have any copies of The Man Who Laughs. Yeah, a lot of lost film from this era. Because nitrate contains its own oxygen, it cannot be extinguished with water once ignited. How the fuck are we still alive as a species? We create like one of the most flammable materials ever, and we put photos on it,
and we packed
sit
like
in a theater and
a couple hundred people into the same building.
Holy
several
fuck.
times
Was
a day.
the Hindenburg made out of nitrate film?
It's not really clear how successful this movie was. It came out before a lot of the film reporting infrastructure had been established, so some historians think it was a big financial success, others think it was a failure. Yeah. It was probably a mix of the two.
Plus, it was, like, the way they showed movies was different back then. Mm-hmm. It would be, like, the theater would just kind of be open.
Kind of, yeah. People would just kind of come and go. People related to movies completely differently in this era.
Yeah.
In Germany, it was a huge critical success, although, like, a lot of people in the Expressionist art scene really didn't like it. They thought it kind of insulted Expressionism as a visual style.
Really?
Yeah, which is interesting, I think, because it's like, the reason they didn't like it is because the story is not Expressionist. The story is pretty straightforward. And is actually like, in the end, this becomes a huge point of contention for Siegfried Krakauer, who we talked about in the Dumbo episode with the mass ornament. He writes a book after World War II. He moves to New York and, basically kind of like everybody else who lived through World War II, like World War II just becomes the sort of cultural anchor for every single, cultural criticism through the rest of the century. Like, how did we get to this point, and how do we not do it again? And in very much the same way that I expect we're going to do for our current era.
For 9/11? For what?
No, just
For Trump?
Yeah. And for
okay.
the rise of the, 2020s global right.
Sure.
I think it's going to be a very similar thing. And it's going to be the thing that everybody's obsessed with for the next century. For good reason. So he writes a book called From Caligari to Hitler, which establishes a lot of the theories that this movie is like kind of predicts the rise of Hitler and describes this sort of expectation of arbitrary authority among the German people.
One of the things, I am not an expert on Weimar era Germany, but one of the things that I noticed is like how poorly depicted the bureaucrats are in this movie, and I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You might hate bureaucracy, but you're not going to like what comes next.
You think it's not going to be bureaucracy, but
it's going to be murder bureaucracy.
Krakauer is pretty wrong. I think that this book does not have does not stand up to scrutiny by later scholars. Most film theorists don't like this book very much. It's very much of the kind of film theory that everybody hates, the sort of stereotypical, like, nobody makes an art for any reason other than like direct one-to-one representation of your subconscious desires or whatever.
Like very Freudian.
Very, very extremely Freudian. Film theory up through like the 80s is extremely Freudian.
You have no conscious desires.
Yeah.
Everything is unconscious.
Uh-huh. And it all just like flows out of your pen if you're an artist, It's all there on the screen, all your subconscious. It's silly. Because I don't think that's what this movie is doing. I'm sure like obviously there is a subconscious, and obviously like the social aspects of Weimar Germany are appearing in this movie and the aftermath of World War One. It's obviously there. But people make art because they think it's going to be cool, fundamentally. I think that's what they were doing here, and it is cool. It's just like super cool. It's kind of the movie that I point to, anytime I have an opportunity to talk about why silent film should be considered just basically a different medium entirely from sound film. The way that when you see this movie recreated with sound, it becomes so apparent how much of the atmosphere is delivered by not being able to hear these people's voices, and those voices being instead replaced by this score, this ever-present score that you can change depending on the distribution venue or whatever. Maybe just like have a guy on a piano. Some places did that. Or it'll come with another like a sound reel to pair with it. Sometimes they did that, but like that was kind of up to interpret. There's so much that's abstract about this.
Yeah, because the sound back then sucked, right? Like gramophones were not.
Gramophones, yeah.
Good.
No, sound was not good. All of the accompaniment that we typically get with silent film now, just sounds so much better than than anything they would have had then recorded, which is why, a theater accompanist. Oh no,
accompanist.
Is that it?
Like,
are you sure?
I have no idea. Just for the record, because I wanted to double check this. In 1920, the way that sound was recorded is you would play into a large reverse gramophone that would etch the sound onto like a wax thing. That would then the wax thing could be copied and distributed.
Yeah, not good fidelity, if you can imagine.
No, it sounds so cool. There was this project that recorded like modern musicians on like old school acoustic.
That's cool.
Sound recording devices, and it's fascinating. There's one like blues musician, and they play, and he was a musician for like 60 years, and he played like through acoustic era, electrical era into the sort of vinyl tape stuff era. And I was listening to, I think it was my really cool radio station, 88.5 the SoCal Sound, and they played an excerpt of, or it was the local NPR station, but they played an excerpt of his sort of original like 1923 wax disc recording, and then they played an excerpt from like a vinyl of the same song. Blew my fucking mind. Of basically like just such a stark reminder of like what you are hearing is not what audiences heard
Not at all.
at the time.
Not at
and
all.
even and just a good reminder that like today what you're hearing has been like processed and tweaked out the ass and is not the same as what you would hear
Yeah.
in concert with like
Exactly.
the same band,
My
even if the fidelity's much
Yeah,
better.
one of my professors at NC State, who I TA'd film history for, collapsed this all down into there's no such thing as silent film. Nobody was watching movies in silence during this era. Like there was a theater accompanist. That was a job. Like just somebody whose job it is to do all the little Foley sounds and play on the piano, and that there was art in that. It because it was silent film, people could just walk into the theaters and just like chit chat. It didn't matter. Sound has always been an assumption in how silent film is made. And so the way that this movie is cut to accommodate that expectation that there's going to be some kind of sound, even if it's not consistent across distribution venues, the quality is so different from having a proper soundtrack that's attached to the movie and the sound is the same everywhere. It's just a different medium entirely.
Very different.
And it's so good. It's so interesting. Do you want to talk about the new one?
I'll talk about the new one. So the new one came out in 2005. What was going on in 2005? Let me tell you. I was 11 years old. I was in 4th grade. I had the best teacher. Totally changed my like trajectory from like a shitty, weird, autistic kid who punched people to like an adult, sensitive, weird, autistic person who does not punch
It's so
people
difficult
anymore.
for me to imagine violent Gus.
It was bad. I remember I had a friend, someone I was friends with for a while in school, who loves to remind me like one day she came in before classes started. Like the school opened at 7:45 and you could play at the recess yard until classes started at like 8, somewhere between 8 and 8:05. She came in at like 7:58 and I was already in the principal's office waiting to get picked up to go home for the day because I had
Jesus.
punched a kid. Yeah.
Oh my God.
What else was going on? George W. Bush is sworn in for his second term after beating, I believe, John Kerry in the 2004 presidential election. NASA launches Discovery after a hiatus due to the 2003 Columbia disaster. YouTube, where, according to our numbers, you're probably listening to this on, is founded and I think launched that year. Pope John Paul II dies after 27 years of being Pope. The 7/7 bombings occur in London, which inspire several levels from the 2019 Call of Duty Modern Warfare remake. I guess like just in terms of national tragedies, you have 14 years until they show up in a video game. Hurricane Katrina happens. There has not been, to my knowledge, a Hurricane Katrina level in Call of Duty yet. But actually there is like a hurricane level in one of the Black Ops games. So maybe that's inspired by Katrina, but I think it takes place in an Asian, like an unnamed Asian country. The response to Hurricane Katrina does not happen. That's a joke. If you're aware the history of Hurricane Katrina response. And Rosa Parks dies peacefully of natural causes in 2005. Just to give you a hint at what was happening in theaters in this year, the top 5 grossing movies of 2005, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, number 1. Star Wars Episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith, Episode 2. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the first non-sequel. Steven Spielberg's The War of the Worlds, starring Tom Cruise, and Peter Jackson's King Kong. These are the top 5 grossing
Kind
movies.
of a weak year for movies.
For top grossing movies, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, King Kong's
Yeah.
okay. I don't think it aged particularly well, just technically. I don't know. There are a couple scenes that are really, really good. We don't have King Kong on our list.
It's not a horror movie.
What is it?
A monster movie.
Okay, so we're saving that for our monster season, our mini season.
I guess so.
Okay, that makes sense.
Godzilla, etc.
Yeah.
Other movies in 2005, because you thought those 5 weren't good enough. Madagascar, incredible.
Nah.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, caused a very famous breakup. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, not great. Batman Begins, the only Christopher Nolan movie that I like.
Yeah, I'm kind of a
And
Charlie and the
Hitch.
Chocolate Factory booster. I think that movie's better than people give it credit for.
Oh my God. There was a rom-com that made $370 million in 2005. Oh, the good old days.
You know what we didn't do,
Oh, well.
Gus?
What?
Any kind of patron thank you.
This episode is brought to you by our wonderful patrons. But pretend I said this a couple minutes ago. You're so wonderful. You're great. You make me so happy.
We got 2 new ones today.
Yeah, 2 new ones today. 1 new one a couple days ago. I don't remember when we recorded. It
It's
was
so
last
nice of
Monday,
them
right?
to give us a little bit of money.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Flowers. Derek Lawrence. Kidding, it's Lawrence. Vault McVault. You're so great. And then if I'm just going to choose randomly from the list. Also, thank you to Spooky Teeths. Good job. You got picked randomly. Congrats.
We love Spooky Teeth.
Yeah. What was I saying?
You were talking about 2005 and the movies.
Movies.
Yeah.
So, this movie, also called The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, it is exactly the same, except they talk.
Yeah.
And that makes it very different.
It's very different. I mean, it's like
It's
kind of an interesting project in that way, you know?
the more I think about this movie, and it was so hard to do research for this film because this was a DVD release. This was a super low budget film from a first time filmmaker who, like, I found an interview with him when he was trying to raise money for his second movie, which is doing this exact same thing but for Nosferatu.
Ugh.
Which we do not have on our list, and I am officially pitching as a Patreon episode.
What, his version of Nosferatu?
His version of Nosferatu.
Let's do it.
All
I'm
right.
down.
What's this guy's name? David Lee Ellis.
Good director name.
Yeah, it's such a good his name is David Lee Ellis, the director, and it's such a good director name. When I saw it, I was positive I had seen it before, and I hadn't. I have never heard of this guy. I have never seen his other movie. I had a lot of trouble finding information about him. He doesn't call this film a remake.
Of course he
calls
doesn't.
it.
Oh my God.
He
Directors
calls
are
it-
so insufferable.
He calls it a visual remix. And this was in 2014. And he calls it this in part because so it looks super similar to the original film. And a big part of that is due to costs. They shot this entire thing on green screen.
They use the same sets,
And
right?
They put scans of the set on the green screen. So you're seeing actors on a digital recreation of the sets of the original movie. Which
It's
is
very
weird.
shot for shot in that way.
Yeah. It is extremely shot for shot.
As it's just sort of like a creative exercise. I can get behind that, you know?
Me
It's like
too.
something a little bit compelling about it.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie.
No. But that's the thing is, like, the more I think about this, the more I look at this, like, it was super cheap, right? It was cheap enough that they had to shoot on green screen. I was looking at the I don't know how they funded this. Couldn't find it. It might have been self-funded. But I was looking at their Kickstarter campaign for the Nosferatu movie, which they kickstarted it in 2014. Their goal was $60,000. So I imagine this, like, their first movie, also super inexpensive to make. And it does feel a lot more like a project. Like,
Yes.
this to me feels, and part of this is, like, it was straight to DVD, right? This was not a theatrical release, which is Mariana's fault.
What?
'Cause I wanted to do theatrical releases, but whatever.
This is a good movie
It
to start
feels-
with. Who cares?
It's a great movie to start with. It's a great original movie to start with. I wish that the remake was more expensive.
Well, we could have watched the erotic Italian parody version, but I don't know if the...
Why didn't you tell me about the erotic Italian parody version? I've been so into erotic movies lately. That's not true. Erotic movies make me so uncomfortable. If this feels more like an art piece than it does a film.
Yeah. I
know
think
what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. We're going to have a very similar conversation. I can see it now when we talk about
Yeah.
the Psycho remake. Gus Van Sant's
Okay.
Psycho remake is shot for shot the same movie.
Yeah.
He's doing pretty
This-
much the same thing as this guy is doing here, and it's
This feels like some like I should watch this film as I stroll around an art gallery.
Exactly,
with
yeah.
Canapes and wine in my hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I almost struggle to like talk. I got so into just like how this movie was made that I forgot to write anything about like what the sound added to it. Uh-huh. I'm really fascinated by the director because he's not a director. Like this, he's made 2 movies, this one and the Nosferatu one. And this one was from like 2005. And the Nosferatu one came out, I think, or was released, I think 2024, a couple years ago. He has like some entertainment connections, but not super strong ones. Like Doug Jones plays Cesare. How do you pronounce
Cesare.
it normally? Cesare.
yeah.
Doug Jones, if you don't know, is a very well-known actor for playing monsters.
Yeah,
He
you notice
played
how the only character actors that really exist anymore are creature actors.
Yeah.
You know, isn't that weird?
Sad.
Yeah, it was sad.
Yeah. He played well, because all the character actors got replaced by like really dog shit influencer.
Yeah, exactly.
cameos. So he plays, he's really famous for playing a lot of monsters. The Eye guy, and I think also the Fawn from Pan's
he's
Labyrinth.
in
He
almost
played
every Del Toro movie. He's Del
the
Toro's
fish
go-to
guy from Hellboy.
Yeah.
He played the fish guy from Hellboy 2. He played the fish guy in Shape of Water.
Yeah. He was in.
He played the Silver Surfer in
He
that
did.
original
He's,
in the second Silver Surfer movie.
he's-
Silver
he-
Surfer movie.
He's the zombie in Hocus Pocus. That's fun. He's
He
had an
played
incredible
the-
career.
He played the tall. I think he played the tall guy who makes all the sound disappear in that one episode of Buffy the Vampire
That's
Slayer.
correct. Yeah, he's the main
Yeah.
gentleman. That monster is
Yeah.
called. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. He's
really
like
good.
he's super skinny and he's got like a really specific kind of physical performance style. You can always
Yeah.
tell when it's Doug Jones.
And you know how he developed that. He started as a mime. I learned that in my research. So this director, from what I could piece together from his Kickstarter bio and other things I could find online, he was originally a pinball designer.
Sure.
From pinball, he started working at Sega in like the 80s, and he worked on video games like Sonic and I think the original Doom. He founded his own studio, which, if I'm right, was called Frontline. Frontline made a game called Metalworks, or Metalworks with an E. And the graphics and immersion in Metalworks were so great because it was like pioneering this sort of combination of 3D graphics and live action video. They were so great that like they won a couple awards at this like video game showcase convention. The game was acquired by EA, Electronic Arts. But that was in like 1995, 1996. Also in 1995, 1996, U.S. Congress had a big like hullabaloo about violent video games. Like this is like Hillary Clinton. Everyone was like, these video games they're too immersive, and it's hilarious if you go back and look at what games look like in 1996. Even Metalworks, if you can find an image of it, which I couldn't. EA shelved Metalworks as a concession to the U.S. government. So the game never actually came out.
Oh, that sucks for him.
Yeah. On his bio, it said he like worked on animation. Like he did animation for companies like Apple, EA, and Sony PlayStation. And if I'm reading between the lines correctly, I think that means that he worked on video game cutscenes.
That makes sense.
But because I couldn't like his only 2 credits on IMDb are the 2 movies that he made. And then from there, he went into this like super low budget filmmaking thing. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's
It is
cool that he's
interesting.
like, I'm interested in this and I want to do this. When he was talking about like, it was so funny to me listening to all of this, the sort of influences you're talking about in the original movie, because when I found his answers on why he wanted to make this film, he was like, I just thought it looked really cool. Thought it was
I
so
mean, truly,
striking.
that's what ushers a film through the ages. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some pieces of art are just compelling across generations. This movie just looks really cool. And the
Yeah.
vibe is just so cool. Like it's just I think that's why I'm so kind of obsessive about aesthetic and whether
Yeah.
something is like hitting emotionally because of how it looks and feels and its texture and everything, because like
Yeah.
truly that's what makes a movie last. And I think that,
Right.
you know,
That's why Dune will be around forever.
kind of, yeah. Like I think that that's the thing that, as critically acclaimed as so many horror movies of the past 20 years or so have been, I don't expect that many of them to, you know, last through the ages, because they're just too they're too specific, they're too comprehensible.
What's
in a
your
way,
list?
You know?
What's your top 3 list most aesthetic, critically acclaimed horror movies of the last 2 decades?
Most like aesthetically successful.
Yeah, most likely
likely
to
to
be
be a-
remembered in 100 years.
I think Midsummer immediately comes
That's
to
what
mind.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say.
Yeah, that probably says something, right? We agree.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think Midsummer is disturbing in a really, really visceral, upsetting way that kind of crosses generational and cultural boundaries.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not every generation, because they killed the old people at 72. So it's a bad joke. Man.
Yeah, that's my pick. I think that one's gonna last.
This movie, modern Dr. Caligari and his Cabinet of Mysteries, it was extremely non-union, super, super low budget. One of the producers, like, her day job is she's a costume designer for TV and film. You know, it's like it's that kind of film.
Yeah, this guy
It's that
just
kind of
cobbled
movie.
together a bunch of acquaintances
Yeah.
to make this.
And I mean, I didn't have a ton of notes. It was like, it feels experimental. Like we already talked about that. It's like, it's more of an art piece.
It is.
than
I
it
mean,
is a
I
movie.
like.
I found,
I mean, because.
but I think like, yeah, you start talking again, and then I'll start talking one more time. I feel like I almost feel like it's, you know, I have complaints about like the dialogue.
Yeah.
Because
Of course.
I don't think that was intentional. Like, I'm not, you know, I don't think like this guy is a genius. I was just like, he was just like, it'd be cool if we did that, you know? Mm-hmm. But I think it's like, it's so fascinating because it is almost, it's not entirely, but it's almost just
Look at us. We're
both have our
both Gus and I are
elbows out,
reclining
hands
with
up.
our hands behind our head.
That's the academic
It is.
thought
We're doing
pose.
we're doing the film nerd pose. We're deep in thought about
The-
this.
It's so fascinating to me to see, like, you know, we talked a lot last season about how animation and film are different,
Yeah.
and you need to shoot it differently and write it differently and design it differently, et cetera, et cetera. And I think like this film in particular, because it is literally shot for shot remake, the way that some parts of some of those last remakes were, it's very much like the same lesson of like, you don't need dialogue in this movie because it was shot and made to be without dialogue.
I had that same
So
thought
adding it-
in almost the exact same
Yeah.
way. It's like especially because it's so German expressionist.
Yeah.
Like German expressionism is kind of it isn't animation, but it kind of works by the same rules, where it's like it is anti-realism. It is supposed to be evocative. It's not supposed to be representative, and it's built with that in mind. And so like adding sound to it, adding dialogue, like grounds it in a way that just makes the entire thing collapse. It's crazy
Yeah,
how
a little
like
bit.
every single dialogue scene, you just want to skip through it. You're like, what? Who cares?
One of the critics just broadly didn't love it.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised that a straight to DVD release like had so many critical opinions, and I think it was because it was a remake of such like a seminal film. Ed Gonzalez, writing for Slate, he said a work of fanboyish gusto. The film, by giving Vina's silent classic of voice actually exposes beyond a reasonable doubt the original's unsophisticated storytelling and limited feeling. He used a metaphor in the review, and I'm paraphrasing. This movie is like if Smashing Pumpkins' Disarm album was covered by an awful wannabe punk band like 30 Seconds to Mars.
First of all, 30
I
Seconds
think
to Mars
that's-
has one solid hit. Okay.
I think that's
wanna give them their due.
interesting.
I disagree with Gonzalez. I don't think that there's anything wrong with the original at all. I don't think the story is thin. I don't think that it's like, what was the other adjective he used?
Unsophisticated storytelling.
I don't think that's, no, I completely disagree. I don't think that the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is unsophisticated storytelling. I think that is such realism brain at work, you know? Like, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is not trying to be anything other than what it is, which is expressionist, you know? It's supposed to be like an emotionally heavy movie for reasons that it does not either expect or desire its audience to like parse in themselves, you know? That's why it's such a point of fixation for especially German film scholars coming out of World War II and looking at this movie and reading all of this pain and pathos into it from their own experiences. Like, that's what the movie is trying to do. Its particular sort of, you know, silent film storytelling is really, really well suited to that. It isn't for sound. This is just kind of like a sort of accident of fate that this movie, that the original is as good as it is and as important as it is. It seems really obvious now because we have it, you know, but that movie didn't have to exist. This is why people should do experiments artistically, you know. It's like the sort of aesthetic texture of adding sound and dialogue to this movie. It's so interesting to me how much it drags it down. Like it's like the editing, the kind of editing that they have to use to make this work completely shifts. Like they have to, because human speech has its own rhythm, you know, and in a silent movie, that rhythm of human speech you are permitted to make that completely subordinate to what the piece as a whole is supposed to evoke in people. But if you've got people talking, then like you have to match the rhythm of the movie to the rhythm of speech, and you know,
and you have to show that, and do your classic shot reverse shot.
So dialogue, once sound, like there were a lot of critics back in the day in the, you know, late 20s, early 30s who were like absolutely just like crestfallen, at the introduction of sound. They thought it was going to ruin film, and it kind of did. You know, I mean, it's like whatever. There's nothing wrong with sound in film, but it did sort of make silent film obsolete in a way that is unjust. You know, because the artistic texture of silent film is so different. You can do such different things with it. It's so interesting to me how much that snaps into clarity when you watch the same movie with dialogue. It's so much worse, you know. I don't want to hear what Cesare's voice sounds like. It doesn't matter. It's better if it's just like some kind of disembodied words in my head. It fits the atmosphere of the movie better.
I agree. The
acting is interesting to me too, for the same reason. All the performances are fine. They're all doing their job. But this is just not a performance style that works in sound either. The best, I think the guy who plays Caligari
is still.
I think the guy who plays Caligari is good. And I think part of what makes his performance work in this movie is that he's very theatrical, and he speaks very musically, and his voice goes up and down, and it's interesting to listen to. And he's the only one who does that. Everybody else just kind of plays it straight. And I don't think this is the kind of movie you can do that with.
It is. It's so interesting to think about. Like, we talked about this. I know we talked about this for the animation side of like, there was that one exec for like Jungle Book or something who was like, the goal is fidelity, and the ultimate, wouldn't it be cool if a movie was if you like created a world of AI people and you put a person in it and they just got to experience it. And it's like, no, it's not. But it's so fascinating to me to look back at like outdated quotation marks, outdated forms of the medium and see like that it's because I think like growing up and especially in such a progress obsessed society like the coastal parts of the United States and other parts of the US, you know, I'm not a coastal elite.
You are as coastal and elite as it gets.
Working at a nonprofit for slightly above minimum wage. Yeah, baby. It's really fascinating to look at. It's because it's not like you have this idea of like, oh, black and white is worse than color. Silent is worse than talkies. And then, especially to, you know, because I'm super into video games, there's been this very big proliferation of like pixel art coming back and being like, it's not worse. It's
Everybody
just
loves
it's a different
Stardew
kind of
Valley.
thing. Yeah. Stardew Valley, Sea of Stars, Octopath. A lot of pixel art coming out. A lot of like intentionally PS1 looking graphics.
And I think that
coming
the
out.
impulse in a lot of people is to say like, well, the pixel art is excusable because the story is and the game is so good. And I think that people need to realize that no, the pixel art and whatever art is being used in any game or any movie or any whatever, that is part of the thing, you know.
Yeah.
You are enjoying
sure.
this
And
partly because it's pixel art.
Yeah, and I think, you know, having mentioned like Hush, the Buffy episode where nobody talks, it's like that movie The Artist won Best Picture 2011. That's a silent film, I think, except for the end.
It is.
Like,
yeah, it's a little gimmicky, I think, The Artist, but you know, whatever.
I'm smart. I don't like silent films after 2000.
I love silent film. I just don't. I just think it's really, really difficult to make one with sincerity now. You know.
The BoJack episode where he's like goes into the sea and freaking doesn't realize he can touch a button to talk, and so the whole episode is
It's so good.
basically silent. It's a medium.
It is a medium.
Like any other medium, and I think especially for, you know, I wrote this movie I wrote. We just attached a really wonderful director to.
Oh, did
it,
you?
and I'm
Yay!
hoping we did.
That's so exciting.
We did. I'm not gonna share his name yet, but he's very, very talented. And he really likes it. Anyway, you know, I wrote like, I mean, in the script, it's like 10 minutes of silence into the movie. And I want, maybe 10 minutes is a little much, but it's like they're the part of that film, part of our film now, not mine anymore, part of our film. The medium is like a thing to be used. And I think especially in film and especially, you know, we did it, right? We've made like CG is like it looks real enough. Like you as the director or the filmmaker, if you have enough money and if you have no morals, like you can put anything you want.
Right. It's the same thing with
screen.
AI.
Now
Like
you have to think
there are a
about
bunch of there are a bunch of AI photos that I can't tell the difference between, you know, whether it's AI and whether it's great job. I don't know what.
Yeah.
So what? Yeah. So what? Everybody thinks they'd prefer a version of a silent film that was in sound, and you don't. It's not better.
It's very much like when people like just get into history and they're like, you know, you can colorize these photos, right?
Yeah,
And it's like,
exactly.
well, that's a different.
Exactly.
It's different. It's a different thing. That photo is not in color. It isn't. That's your That is the artist's interpretation of what this image would look like in color, even though the original had color, but the image doesn't. It's very, you know, media aesthetics. You Chicago.
Yeah, but it is, you know, very much an impulse that I hope we're getting past now to imagine previous forms of technology, especially media technology, as kind of primitive, you know?
Yeah.
And like, to be sure, a lot of the people who made and used those technologies did think of it as such.
Absolutely.
And expected that future iterations of that technology were just going to be, oh my God, so much more impressive. And that's great for them or whatever. But like, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Nothing that those guys made is interesting. You know what I mean? Like the interesting things happen when people who are not supposed to have that technology and not supposed to know what to do with it, take it and make something fucking crazy out of it, you know, that nobody expected. And that comes to define the sort sort of aesthetic experience of an entire generation. For like decades, people are filtering their understanding of World War I and the lead up to World War II through this movie. That's nuts, you know?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the original
The
movie.
original movie, yeah. The new one, not so much. Which is like, and that's part of why it's an interesting project, even though it's not a good movie, that like you watch it and it's, there's no reason for it to exist. So, you know, all those, you know, shitty critics that we talked about for last season, you know, who, and that I see all the time, you know, who are constantly like, with this some like air of sophistication, like they fucking figured out, you know, the meaning of life, of like, well, why does any movie really have to exist? Stop. Enough. You know, you will know when a movie has to exist. And I don't believe you when you say that, you know, when you say that no movie has to exist. That's not true. You don't think that, actually. Nobody does. That's why we have art. Yeah.
Feels like a good note to end it on.
Yeah, it's about time.
Do we want to rank it? This is probably so far my favorite original horror movie, and I think I'm gonna put it at number 1 for my favorite.
Yeah,
remake.
I think it's also my favorite original and my favorite remake.
Get it? Because it's the first one
I
of the
do.
season. What a good, valuable joke and a worthy spending of
You can only make it
15
once,
seconds.
so you might as well.
Once per season. Thanks so much for joining us on the first episode of season 2 of Once More with Feeling. Season 2, of course, titled Once More, hiding in the closet covered in blood as my friends scream their dying breaths down the hallway of this haunted mansion.
Perfect.
We'll have another episode in this season coming in 2 weeks, but next week we will have our continuation of our little bonus season, our bonus live action Disney remakes of live action Disney movies with Herbie. If you want to support us, you check out our Patreon and join the 106
Yay!
people
That's
that we've
so
scammed into
fun.
liking us.
We have not scammed them.
That we
They're
have
smarter than that.
connived into supporting us financially. 109. Wow. Join the 109 coolest people on the planet. Guess what? You know what else you can do? If you don't want to do that, which is totally fine, you can do a like, hit a comment, hit subscribe normally. If you work at a corporation, convince them to sponsor us. If you don't work at a corporation, found a corporation, AI focused, go get money from Andreessen Horowitz and then give us half of it as a sponsorship and no other reason. You can follow us on various social medias at With Feeling Pod, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can email us at withfeelingpod@gmail.com. Very excited for this season. I have been emailing so many people. We have a handful of guests lined up.
We do. It'll be fun.
We're both fans of, and we will spend the first 10 minutes very awkwardly in each episode.
I don't like strangers.
So that'll be super fun. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you around.
Outro music. Spooky outro music.
Too often stripped of